Oh, I'm just going to record if that's okay.
That's fine.
Cool. Yeah. So yeah, if we could just have a chat about the FA Cup, obviously 30 years ago today, and then also about topical issues with Tottenham, because obviously some big news came out yesterday. Yeah. So if we start with the FA Cup, that was like 30 years ago. I mean, I guess, does that seem like a long time now, or not?
Most definitely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm fortunate that there's always reminders on there, like today, that you'll see on social media, but that reminders are always put out there. So I guess that keeps it in the memory. As day to day goes by, I don't really think about it that much. But obviously, when I watch Spurs on TV, because I live in the northwest, it brings back memories. So yeah, it's nice that people still remember fondly of it. They also remember the semi-final, which was equally as good, being it against our arch rivals. So yeah, it's nice when people put nice messages on there, and I've seen one this morning which I retweeted because there were very fond memories.
Yeah, it was obviously a great final for you scoring, but the cup run was also great overall. So you scored at Blackpool in the third round, obviously a club that you grew up at. How special was that?
Yeah, it was special. I mean, if anyone that watched the game at Bloomfield Road will remember how horrible the weather was. It was blowing an absolute hoolie. It was throwing it down, and that's normally football weather in Blackpool, being close to the sea. And the game itself could have gone either way. It wasn't. Because of the conditions, it was a leveler in many ways. But fortunately, Gaza got a free kick that he hoisted into the box. I think Links headed it down, and I swung my left foot at it, and it nestled in the corner, which set us off on our infamous cup run. And I think it'd be fair to say after me scoring in the first game, then probably Paul featured in all the other rounds and probably took us to the final with some great goals and great performances. So, it was nice to have scored at my home club, hometown club, and even more special too when we get to the final, despite Gaz's injury, managing to score the equaliser, and then fortunately we went on to win. And I think after the equaliser, I only felt that there was one team going to win it. I thought we'd got stronger and stronger and stronger. Yeah. And, I know Des scored the OG, but I genuinely believe that we were the stronger, fitter, better side after we equalised. And I think, I suppose what was really good about the situation is I think most people's shoulders dropped when Gaza went off. They thought that he was our best hope of probably winning the trophy. He was going off to Lazio after the final, so it was his farewell game. And to pull it round when everybody and the odds were stacked against us was a great achievement. To be honest, it was a great achievement, and it is one because then it was a coveted trophy. The FA Cup was a coveted trophy, and every player wanted to play in an FA Cup final, even more than winning the actual league as it was, because of the special day. The build up to it. Once you get through the semi-final, the build up to the FA Cup was phenomenal. Everybody wanted a piece of you. There was a buzz around the ground that went from not just the players right through the staff, through to the women that were washing the kits and the people in the ticket office. You know, they were all buzzing for that 6 weeks prior to the final, and we were, you know, doing all the things that clubs do leading up to them finals, songs, suits, you know, what we're going to wear, what we're not going to wear, you know, and interviews with all the media outlets. So, yeah, it was a special time, and it's disappointing now that the FA Cup is not revered as much as it was back then.
Yeah, I certainly as somebody sort of my age, so like late 30s, I can remember more cup finals from the early 90s than I can sort of like from the mid 2000s and then 2010s. So that just goes to show. So does that mean, you know, you scoring the goal, the only Spurs player to score that day, is that the highlight of your career? You know, is that really special for you?
Well, it's certainly one of the highlights of my career. You know, obviously, getting my England caps was another highlight of my career, but it's certainly up there, if not the most or the biggest highlight of my career, because I think just in the manner that we did it as well, which made it special. You know, we played in that semi-final, which was at Wembley Stadium, and no other semi-final had been played at Wembley Stadium until we drew Arsenal, and they thought, well, no other ground is going to hold all these fans. Why not choose Wembley? So we were the first semi-finalists of the FA Cup to play at Wembley. We managed to win against all the odds because Arsenal were again very, very prominent and winning leagues and cups and everything in that era. So again, we were probably gone in there as underdogs, which I think fired us up. To be honest, you know, I mean, let's be honest, you don't need firing up for a game against Arsenal when you play for Spurs. You know, the history tells you that there's a lot of rivalry between the two clubs. But when it becomes a semi-final, then it makes it all the more special. And to win it comfortably was almost as good as winning the final on the day.
Cool. You touched on Gaza a little bit. I think a lot of people's memories of that game is just sort of like Gaza's mad 15 minutes before his injury. Did you sense that he was in a bit of a funny mood, determined to sort of
No. I mean, I get this question asked an awful lot, and Gaza was lively for every game in the changing room. His passion, his drive was always the same as it was that day. I think for Paul, he just wanted to leave Tottenham on a high and give the fans a trophy. And I suppose, you know, I always say his first rash challenge on Ian Woan, I think it was, if he'd have got booked for that, he may well not have gone in as rashly with the challenge with, I think it was Gary Charles, wasn't it? Yeah. And you know, he may well have stayed on the pitch. Would we have won it with Gaza on the pitch? Could be a bone of contention because, you know, as I say, Forest were a strong side and they were a little bit of a bogey team for Spurs in that era. I think we got knocked out in the old League Cup semi-final by them. So our record against them wasn't fantastic. But like I say, I think Paul should have been booked for his first challenge, which may have just calmed him down and not be as rash in the second challenge. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
But you know, you could say, would we have won it had he still been on the pitch? We will never know the answers to them questions. But we did win it, and it was a special win. And as I say, something that I'll never forget.
Yeah. Can you remember the celebrations?
Barely. I know they were drink fueled. So you know, we had a party afterwards, and then from that party we went to a hotel, and I think we were up drinking with our friends, families till 4 and 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then we had to get on the bus at 8 o'clock in the centre of London to go to Tottenham to parade the trophy. So you probably when you look at the videos of that parade, see some really blurry-eyed guys that had celebrated an awful lot after the final, early into the hours.
Yeah. You've obviously had quite a difficult few years with everything that's happened and stuff. How special is it for you to be able to look back at, days like that and just sort of like reminisce the good times?
Well, yeah, as you say, I look at it like I think I paid too much to achieve what I achieved. When I look back and what I went through was a horrendous experience, and to achieve what I achieved in the game, I felt that I paid too much. The impact that it had on me personally, on the loved ones around me, my behaviour and so forth, which has been well documented, was too high a price to pay for an FA Cup. That said, ultimately you can't take the fact that I scored in a final away from me. You can't take the winner's medal away from me, because as a boy growing up, they were things that you dreamed of when you want to be a footballer, and I was fortunate to be one of those people that realised his dream, but having to pay a heavy price for it though. Yeah,
definitely. I guess when you won that in '91, you wouldn't have thought that 30 years on Spurs still wouldn't win it again.
No, Spurs. I think even when we were there, we had a great bunch of lads and some quality players in Lineker and Paul Allen and Gary Mabbott, and Naeem, but we were never a threat in the league. We weren't consistent enough. But as far as cups go, we were very, very dangerous, because we were that sort of team that if you scored 3, we could score 4. So that just all happened and clicked in the FA Cup that season. I don't think even now that has changed at Spurs. They are a very attractive team, or we're attractive team. I suppose under Jose you could say they became more defensive, but he argued that they had more attacks, more shots, and everything to combat that. But Spurs, for me, still seem like a team that are a cup side, probably call it, and not look like they're a team that are going to threaten the league. I mean, under Poch, they finished in the top 4. And played in the Champions League. For me, and I say this an awful lot, teams now look at success as finishing in the top 4. That's to them almost like winning a trophy. And I understand that there's an awful lot of money involved and why it's so important. But, when I look at players like Harry Kane and Sonny, they'll want to finish their careers with trophies. And I don't think anyone's surprised at the news that broke last night, are they? Let's be honest. He has been loyal to the club, Harry. He, like I said, ultimately he wants to win trophies, and if he doesn't go now, he won't get that chance. So for him, I think the only way that he can and will succeed is to move on to a club where the ambition's higher. I've seen something on Twitter and I thought it was a good comment. We've got the best cinema in the world, but we're watching a craps film. Somebody put that on Twitter, and it's sort of, I thought it was quite a true reflection, because they're not investing in the team. They're not, and you look at Liverpool, you look at City, even Man United. They're not competing with them in the transfer market. And do you know, when Harry leaves in the summer, Sonny may follow him. You know, I think there's going to be. You know, we talk a lot about Harry Kane, but I think Sonny is a world-class player and has shown that he can score goals in the position that he plays. And you know, there'll be people knocking on the door for him, and he may feel the same. You know, he may think that the best chance of me winning any trophies is away from Spurs, and then that leaves Spurs with what options? Are they going to splash out fortunes? No. So, you know, we've been linked with Danny Ings and Calvert-Lewin from Everton.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to them players, because they are fabulous players, but, you know, that's the ambition of Spurs. You know, the ambition is we become a selling club and then don't compete at the highest level again.
Yeah. Do you think Spurs sort of owe it to let Kane go this summer? Because he has got 3 years left. I think the chairman's gonna want a lot of money for him.
Yeah, they're gonna want a lot of money, but somebody will pay it for him because of the goals that he gives. You know, Man City, it's irrelevant to Man City what they'll pay for him if they want him. And I don't know whether he'll end up at Man City, by the way, but this is just an example. If they want him, they will pay the money for him. And I think Harry's shown loyalty to Spurs. He stayed with them. You can't say that he hasn't performed on the pitch. I know he struggled with injuries from time to time, but when he's fully fit, you can say that he's led by example. And you know, I as an ex-player, you just look and you think, well, he's going to want to win trophies. He wants to end his career with trophies. And will that happen staying at Spurs with the ambition of the board and the directors? I don't think so. So, you know, you've got to look at. I think every Spurs fan as well is resigned to the fact that he's probably going to go. I think they thought that, you know, before the news broke yesterday, all of us were saying he won't stick around. So I know it was big news for Sky Sports and all that, but was it big news for Tottenham fans? I doubt very much it was.
No. Have you ever been in a position where yourself or one of your teammates has been keen to move and sort of been blocked, and then sort of had to transfer request or throw the toys out?
I mean, I suppose the only time for me was when I was at Liverpool. When I went from Spurs to Liverpool, which looked like a fantastic move. I was coming back up north. Situations that arose during my time there saw me languishing in the reserves, and I don't blame Liverpool for that in any way, shape, or form. I know that what I was getting up to off the field was not helping me, but there was a chance that I could go back to Man City during the course of my contract, and Liverpool sort of blocked it because they didn't want to pay me what they owed me, and it just meant that nobody won really, because I was in the reserves still getting the same money, never going to get a chance in the first team, and Liverpool weren't getting the money that City were prepared to pay for me. And it is frustrating, let me tell you, because there's nothing worse than just being stuck in a reserve team, training with the kids, knowing that no matter how well you do in the reserves, the manager does not, because Souness had gone, the manager, Roy Evans, that took over, didn't fancy me, and he was never going to play me however well I did in the reserves.
Yeah. So just back on Spurs and Kane, it's a massive summer for the club. If they're going to lose Kane, they're searching for a manager. This is a huge summer for Spurs coming up.
Yeah, I mean, managerial side, I don't know which way they're going to look. Been a lot of names thrown out there. Potter, the manager of Ajax, but I think he's signed a contract, hasn't he, with Ajax already. I'm really, Benitez has been thrown in there. There's a lot of names that have been thrown in there. For me, I would, if Kane's going to go and the team is going to be decimated, then I would like to bring a young English manager in, and that may be Graham Potter. Give him the time to rebuild, and no disrespect to Brighton, but I look at Dunk and I look at Bazuma as players that, if he moved to the club, they would certainly be attracted to Spurs. So that's the way I'd go, but obviously I don't make them decisions.
No. Well, Brendan Rodgers, do you think there's any chance of Rodgers, obviously, I think, winning the FA Cup last night, so killing that?
Yeah, no, I think he's laid his cards on the table. He's, there's a high chance that they'll make the Champions League. That's an amazing fate, we would say, for Leicester, but is it? Because over the last few years, they've won the Premiership, now they've won the FA Cup. They've got a good squad together. So I see Brendan Rodgers looking at Spurs as a step down with the way Leicester are progressing.
Yeah, cool. Okay, then, and just back to your FA Cup success. Do you keep in touch with any of your old teammates?
We haven't had a reunion. One of my closest friends is Steve Sedgley. So I speak to him quite often. Obviously, I haven't seen him for some time because of the pandemic, but he's somebody that I'm constantly in touch with. I speak to Gary Mabbott, often on the phone. I have spoken to a number of them because I was doing some talks for the club. I'm bumping into some, like Eric Torsford, David Howells. I speak to David on social media quite a bit. So we flew Naeem in from Spain before the pandemic broke, and we did a talk with him to some of the Tottenham fans. So it was nice to see him after so many years. So, but I'm out on a limb, I guess, here in Blackpool, and it's difficult to just jump in the car and drive down south to see some of my colleagues. But I'd like to think. I mean, I speak to Gary Lineker often on text, about different things, really. So. Yeah, but I'm involved within the game now with the work that I do. I work for the Football League, the EFL, and I deliver safeguarding sessions for the academies. I've been doing it. Normally it would be face to face, but I've been doing it remotely from home. When I was doing it face to face, I was always bumping into, if there was a coach there that played when I played, I'm always bumping into somebody from my era, if you will. So, I suppose for me that's a little bit of football that I'm able to connect with again after such a long time, and I enjoy doing it.
And do you feel that's a positive way for you to sort of help people not have to go through what you went through?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose one could say that I've dedicated my life now to working in this field. I've got a lot of projects on over and above the talks that I do at the EFL clubs to raise awareness, to combat this sort of behaviour. And it's not just what happened to me. I look at what's happening all over, the racial abuse, the online abuse. There are many types of abuse that affect people, as the abuse that I endured did. And for me, it's about educating kids, coaches, parents about the dangers. These people are still out there, and we've got to make sure that they can't access our children, that they can't infiltrate our organisation to perpetrate the abuse that they want to perpetrate, whether that's, as I say, whether that's somebody that's a bully, whether it's somebody that's racially abusing, whether it's somebody that's doing it on social media. We've got to make sure that everything's in place to stop that, and that's what that's the work that I do.
Lovely, lovely stuff. Did you play in that game at the new stadium, the Legends game?
No, I didn't. No,
you didn't. Have you been?
I haven't been to the new stadium. No. I've been invited a few times, but in all honesty, it's a 500-mile round trip.
Yeah.
I will, when the world gets back to whatever normality it gets back to, then I will look forward to going down and seeing some old friends and going down, watching a game in the new stadium. But I haven't of yet, and I wouldn't have been able to play in that game because of my ill health. I have a heart problem, which doesn't allow me to strenuously exercise, to be honest.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so thanks so much for your time this morning.
It's my pleasure.
Really enjoyed the chat.
Yep.
When I write it up, I'll send you a couple of links if you want to read the piece.
Please, please do so. Yeah,
good.
And I'll share it for you.
Oh, good.
As well.
Lovely. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Thanks for your time, Paul. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.